Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano, and a chef on a mission. Today's mission is alcohol politics. And we've been in business at Aroma Time for 11 years, and we've seen a lot in 11 years. The liquor authority can be really business prohibitive, right, Jamie?
Yes.
In general, the liquor authority for the state of New York. There's lots of rules and regulations, and people don't understand.
But I think everywhere it's like that. It's probably like that in every state, not just New York.
Not just New York, every state. But people don't understand that there's so many rules that we have to follow as restaurateurs, that we have to watch our step, because we could get trouble, we get fined.
Right.
Like one thing is, like, we have an outdoor dining, and people think they can just smoke because it's outside. When the reality is we have to have a sign that's posted, a 3-foot barrier, and a segregated smoking section. Just because you're outside doesn't mean you can smoke. In fact, you have to be 20 feet from a food service entrance. And if you get busted, if the health department busts you, or if the liquor authority busts you, you can get fined. You can, get your license suspended. You have to go through more than you have to. Okay.
So there's lots of rules and regulations.
There's a lot that the consumer doesn't understand.
Right.
And there's a lot that goes on that the consumer has no clue. Let's talk about the flip side, about the purveyors and breweries and distilleries and that whole side, about big conglomerates. It's illegal for companies to, a beer company, a wine company, a spirit company, to come in and directly pay me. Even if I do work for them, let's say I do legitimate work, I can't accept money from a brewery. With that being said, of course, I could never accept money from any of these guys to buy their products. I can never accept free products. I can never accept tap line cleaning of my beer lines. We can't accept equipment. All that stuff is frowned upon and highly illegal. But it still happens.
It happens all the time.
So one brewer, one of our favorite breweries, Pretty Things, we don't buy enough Pretty Things. I'm sorry that we don't. I apologize for that. But we plan on buying more of it. He kind of blew the lid. They're from Massachusetts. And he started tweeting out the other night, late night, about beer bribery. Go ahead and read this article. Esquire magazine picked this up right away, and the next day Esquire had an article on this. So go ahead and read this. This is interesting.
Beer bribery. One brewer has cried foul on breweries that pay off bars to serve their beers. With around 3,000 breweries now in America producing tens of thousands of beers, I bet you wonder how a bar could possibly choose what to put on their taps. Of course, we all know some bars prefer the kind of corporate swill that their non-demanding customers can drink a lot of on the cheap, while others, more scrutinizing spots, surely opt for local offerings and the absolute best craft beers they can possibly land. But what if I told you something more insidious is actually going on? Last night while you were sleeping or closing down a bar, Dan Paquette, co-founder and brewer for Pretty Things Beer and Ale Project out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, decided to blow the whistle on an illegal practice going on right before our beer-soaked eyes. In a series of tweets under the brewery's handle, Paquette revealed that Boston is a, in quotes, pay-to-play town, and we're often shut out for draft lines along with many beers you may love.
This affects the beers you're drinking. This affects why you can't get a local beer in a local tavern. This affects why you can't get your favorite beer. This is why a small brewery has no shot at getting a tap line
in some
locations.
Exactly.
And now he's talking about Cambridge and Boston. This goes way beyond Cambridge.
This goes all over.
This goes national.
This goes all over. What's pay to play? It's when breweries bribe bars under the table to stock their beers and freeze out competition, and is, according to the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau regulations, an illegal practice. Paquette even dared, in quotes, name names, accusing some popular Massachusetts joints such as Buckowski's Tavern and the lower depths of accepting this dirty money. Paquette further noted, in quotes, ever heard the term committed lines, question mark?
We have.
This is what it means. Breweries buy draft lines so their lame beers aren't irrelevant. He didn't name any of these lame breweries, though he hinted at one, saying right now one of the hottest, newish brewers in Massachusetts pays for lines all over the place. Of all his ranty tweets, though, this was the only one he actually deleted, presumably to stop rampant internet beer geek speculations. I had long assumed this sort of stuff happened, but wasn't completely certain until the social media screed. Paquette revealed, since I've started as a brewer in 1992, it has been a given in Boston that beer lines were for sale. But in fact, it's not just Massachusetts where this is a major issue. In 2010, a Crane's investigation found that a trendy Chicago hotel bar had been taking payouts and other bribes from a powerful Miller Coors distributor. Deb Carey of New Glarus Brewing went so far as to call the city of Chicago a whore's market, noting, everyone has a handout and everyone wants some cash, free beer or a discount.
Right. Now the funny thing is, we do a lot of beer dinners, and we've had people over the years really almost demand that okay, you do this for us and we'll do this for you, or we need your beer. So we do beer dinners once a month, and I've had breweries downright say to me, I can't do a beer dinner at your restaurant unless you give us a tap line. We need a tap line for a year-round tap line to do a dinner. Now, there's 3,000 breweries, okay? I want my restaurant to be unique, interesting. I want different tap lines. I want people to experience different things, right, Jamie?
Absolutely.
I can't commit one of my 9 tap lines for a full year.
But it's not even right to begin with.
Right.
We bring in beers consistently from all over the place. We try to be different and unique in everything that we bring in.
And support the small guys.
Right, and support the small guys. So you should be thankful that we're trying to support all of the small guys rather than just one.
Right.
But it all comes down to money.
It all comes down to money. So and even when we do beer dinners sometimes, they'll say, well, you don't do enough business with us to send a rep there. I'm sorry, a rep is paid by a brewery to represent the beer and to sell the beer. If you haven't come to see me yet, if you haven't come to do an event yet, how am I supposed to sell your beer with 3,000 breweries out there? Even 10 years ago, there were 2,000 breweries out there. There's too many breweries. Reps, you're being paid by your brewery to represent. Get in the market, do beer dinners. Who cares if that restaurant has never bought?
You never know who's going to be sitting in that seat. You never know who's going to love that beer. You
never know. One of our best customers owns 40 restaurants in New York City. If he's here at one of our beer dinners or at our event and tastes a beer, that's, even if there's 4 people at a beer dinner, or if you never bought a beer from you, it's about the right time, the right location, the right person.
It's all about marketing and getting to the right people.
But beyond beer, we've had liquor companies that come in and say, oh, will you buy this wine? Will you buy this spirit? I'll swipe my credit card for $50, right? Give me a quote-unquote fake gift certificate, you know, a false gift certificate. I'll swipe my card for $50, because a lot of these guys have corporate accounts. They have credit cards.
They have minimums, and they have to get placements.
They have to get placements. A lot of these companies need new placements. So, for instance, Jim Beam, when they launch a new product, Jim Beam will go right to demand the distributor, say, we need, in each new market, we need 50 new placements, or we need 150 new placements this month.
That gets distributed through the sales rep that are actually
selling. Then the poor sales rep is coming around and only pushing this new Jim Beam pomegranate bourbon, whatever it is, right? That's the only thing that sales rep is focusing on pushing. So all the other small brands, all the other brands don't get a fair rep. You know, they're not getting represented properly, and it just sucks. But we've had salespeople come in here and say, I will swipe my card. I need a placement. I will swipe my card for $50. Buy this. It's $45, I'll swipe my card for $50, your product will be for free. And we look, Jamie and I look at each other like, really? This is how you guys want to do business? This is what it comes down to? We don't want to do business with anybody like that. We've always been small independent. Now, back to the beer scene, there's a local restaurant just north of us, and I did a video on this a couple weeks ago, that's just north of us near Kingston. And they have a lot of tap lines, but their distributor gives them tons of Mets tickets. So they only buy from one distributor, right? So poor local breweries that aren't represented in that one distributor. So if you're like, let's say Keegan Ales, for example, and you're not in that distributor, and Keegan Ales is local, Keegan Ales doesn't have representation at that bar because they're not in that distributor. Because this owner would rather take Mets tickets over supporting a local brewery. So Captain Lawrence, Keegan Ales, Lake Placid, whatever's in the other distributors' portfolios, and they're local, they're good stuff, they're not getting represented because an indirect way that owner's getting payout from, he's getting a bribe, he's getting something from that one distributor, and he doesn't care about his customers' taste, he doesn't care about supporting local, he doesn't care about the ethics of that. It's totally unethical to do something like that. And you know, when these guys come in, these guys have stopped coming in. They used to come in all the time and like, oh, this and that. And every time a new salesman comes in from these big companies or new person, they'll come in and try to do something. And you typically don't get far fast with us. So it's really interesting to see that he's calling out these guys in Boston, but this is realistically all over the place. I mean, it's not just Boston, and it's illegal. I'm assuming this is illegal in most states. A lot of states that I know, and a lot of the restaurant owners, it's illegal. But I know in Massachusetts for a fact, these guys will come in and give you a beer cooler. They'll run your beer lines. They'll come in and give you the equipment, right? Well, once they give you the equipment, those 4 lines, 6 lines, 8 lines, 2 lines, that cooler that fits 4 kegs, all of that has to be their beers. They're committed lines. And that happens so much. And it's not just the small independents like me that don't have enough money to buy my own equipment. It's the big, large properties, large restaurants, large catering halls, hotels. It's people that have money to spend $2 grand on beer lines. But they're still taking committed lines. They're still taking this. And it's like the game just goes in a circle. So Pretty Things now, there's certain breweries that don't have reps out in the field. I believe Pretty Things is one that doesn't have a rep out in the field. Like Southern Tier doesn't have a rep out in the field. Southern Tier sells in like 48 states, and they have great beer, and he feels that, well, I don't need to send a rep into the field to sell my beer. My beer will sell itself. And I believe Pretty Things is the same way. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I asked Pretty Things, I asked one of the guys at an event, one of the owners, I'm not sure if it was the guy who's tweeting, can you do a beer event with us? And he goes, you know what? He goes, I don't do any beer dinners. He goes, we don't do that. You know, basically we have good beer, you like our beer, you do some of their beer, but they won't even send somebody out like for a night to represent their beer at a beer dinner, because that's just not what they do. They make good beer. I love Pretty Things. I'm really ashamed that we haven't bought more Pretty Things, because 3,000 breweries, they get lost, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I mean, even just recently I had one beer rep come in and say, hey, I'm trying to win a contest where you buy a keg from brewery XYZ. He goes, you know, you haven't bought that in a while, and considers a new placement, and I'll win a trip to Chicago, right? So, I mean, even smaller things happen on a lower level like that. So the brewery is telling the distributors and the salespeople, if you get new placements, we'll fly you to wherever, to California, to Miami, to Chicago. You'll win a contest, you know, which we do things like that at our restaurant where we say, okay, whoever sells the most of this tonight gets this. And you can do sales incentives, but sometimes these sales incentives they go too far.
They get out of hand.
They go too far, and that's the only thing that the rep is focusing on is, this is what I need to sell, this is what I need to place, and I'll do it at whatever it takes to do it. You know, I'll come buy a gift certificate, I'll come buy a dinner, I'll come, you know, do something above and beyond of me just buying from a company. And so Pretty Things, thanks for speaking up, thanks for putting this out there, because people just have no idea. So when you go to a beer bar and you're looking, you know, at the draft beer selections, you know, there might be more to it than saying, you know, why did they buy this particular beer? Why is this beer always on draft? Why is this always down? Now, we have a policy, Jamie, that we rotate 1 keg, 1 out. So it's 1 time and 1 out. Unless we love the keg, we then rotate it. But now here's the part that sucks. A lot of these breweries do one-time releases. Like Trogs does their Mad Elf, which I love and I get it every year. But sometimes these breweries look at your history and they say to you, if you haven't bought enough of our beers all year long, we're not going to get you our Christmas beer. We're not going to get you our seasonal. We're not going to, because there's not enough to go around. So it kind of like, then it turns back to me where I have to buy more of their beers all year long. And with 3,000 breweries and only 9 tap lines, it's hard to rotate and give everybody a fair chance, right? I understand if somebody's like really local and we want to represent them all the time, but it really gives an unfair disadvantage to me, because now I have to buy more of this beer if I want their Christmas beer, their Thanksgiving beer, their spring beer, because I have to now buy 4 or 5 kegs over the course of the year, maybe, to get on their list, which is kind of unfortunate. And you know, they have allocated beers, they have allocated wines, where when you go to buy something from a distributor, you look in the book and say, okay, I see, you know, this wine, this beer, and you go to order it, and you see the inventory counts, they show you the inventory counts, and the distributor, the salesperson goes, I can't sell that to you. I'm like, why? He goes, well, we only have 5 kegs and we have to save them for good accounts. Or we only have 5 kegs and we have to save them for people that have bought their beers in the past. Okay. You know, we get so frustrated by stuff like that, because it's like, Or they'll say, well, if you buy the Merlot or the Pinot Grigio, then we'll give you the Cabernet, right? But you have to buy 5 cases. And this stuff is illegal, but they still do it. They still tell you this. If you buy 5 cases of the Pinot Grigio, then we can sneak you a case of the Cabernet, right? It's like going to a car dealer and say, if you want to buy the Corvette, you've got to buy the other car first, right? You didn't buy the other car first, so you can't get into the Corvette. No, you want a Corvette, you buy a Corvette, right?
Absolutely.
Simple as that. I understand if there's not enough that goes around, but it's very frustrating, and the big companies are the biggest ones to blame. So that's why we at Aroma Time choose the small companies. There's no games with the small companies. They don't have the budget to play games. They don't have a guy walking around with a credit card willing to swipe $50 constantly. They don't represent the big producers that have all this money in quotas. It's real product, it's real families, it's real economics of this is the product, this is the price, and when it's in stock, and you can have it. And it's as simple as that. So at Aroma Time, we probably buy from 20 different wine vendors. And some of these wine vendors have 2-3 page books, as opposed to the big guys who have 100-page books, 200-page books, 75-page books, where everything gets lost. So you look at these small books and it's like, well, there's not a lot of selections, but the selections in here are phenomenal. And I know what's in the book I can always get. And I know what's in the book comes from a real family, from a real community, from people who actually care about what they're doing. And that's the joy of doing business for me. And that's why, one of the reasons why we're in this business, part of our passion is because we want to support real product. We don't want to support a Jim Beam, a Jack Daniels, an Absolute, a Grey Goose, because those are the companies that just throw the money around. They throw the promotions around, they throw the money around, and they really control the market, and they control the salespeople's, life for that month that they have to do, that they have to sell product or place product. And it sucks because these guys, sometimes in the past, they don't come in much anymore, but in the past, the big guys, Jamie, would come in, and the only time you'd see them was when they need to sell a product. I'm here to sell this. It's brand new, I need placement on it. And it's like, really, give me a break. Show me something interesting. Don't show me something that's being forced down your throat to sell. And those days stopped long ago, but that's how a lot of restaurants get their product. The salesmen come in and say, I need this placed. This is what we're doing. This is what I need. They might not say, I need this, but this is what they're showing you. This is a brand new product, this and this and this, and you got to have it. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So Pretty Things, awesome job. Awesome job for getting out there and tweeting this. We're going to hashtag this tweet as dirty lines, is what he says to do. Hashtag dirty lines.
Excellent.
A lot of dirty lines out there. I'm Chef Marcus Giuliano.
And Jamie.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like our videos, please hit like, subscribe to our channel, and definitely pass it on. And go get a good independent beer.